plenty of time. Sorry. Unfortunately, now I completely am.
It's
out of the
it's
meeting.
immaterial, my friend. Don't worry. Don't worry. My biography really is short for things like this. It tells you that I'm a poet, a photographer, a historian, and a nonfictionist, and that my work has been appearing since 1965. Everything else is extraneous, at least for me. If you don't like the poems I'm reading, it's not going to matter where I've been published or how many times or anything else. It's all about the day's reading. Okay, let's start with Carl Sandburg. Biography. A biography, sirs, should begin with the breath of a man when his eyes first meet the light of day, then working on through to the death when the light of day is gone. So the biography then is finished. Unless you reverse the order and begin with the death and work back to the birth, starting the life with a coffin, moving back to a cradle, in which case, sirs, the biography has arrived, is completed when you have your subject born, except for ancestry, lineage, forebears, pedigree, blood, breed, bones, backgrounds, and these, sir, may be carried far. Richard Brautigan, Shellfish. Always spend a penny as if you were spending $1. And always spend $1 as if you were spending a wounded eagle. And always spend a wounded eagle as if you were spending the very sky itself. And Larry Levis, Wound. I've loved you like a man loves an old wound picked up in a razor fight on a street nobody remembers. Look at him. Even in the dark, he touches it gently. I could read favorites all day long, but those are 3 that were influential to me. The particular poems and the poets themselves. I'm going to read you some stuff that I haven't read here before. You've all heard what would probably constitute my favorites. So I'm going to dip into some other things that I think might be worth hearing, but that you haven't probably heard, at least at this venue. The tree stands still toward a corner of the yard, making an odd triangle with house and garage. Our children have grown to be the adults we like to think they saw in us, but better. Their children, in turn, have done the same. All these families close, even across distances. The weathered oaken plank still hangs, suspended by thick sisal. A young child's simple swing no longer needed. Look closely at it. See the shadows of children in clear memories. After the act, which in turn is after the undated painting, Broken Lute in the Street of Tarbine by Alex Bond. More than the death of a beautiful instrument, carefully crafted by time, by hands and eyes, a heart and brain imagining the notes that would rise to praise a moment repeatedly. More than the passing interest of a common city rat searching, trying the taste of anything too slow or still to escape. The almost silent, almost empty cobblestones that curve away to exit, to disappear, stage left. More than anything to occur in the remnants of this evening, as it passes from star rise into night to following sunrise, a heart has been shattered by the shuttering of a window overlooking a balladeer. Amore has turned unrequited. And one day, like any other in the silent darkness, a sliver of board falls from where it has so long helped cover the only window in the room, the one you never knew of, that you long ago stopped believing in the possibility of, causing you to rise from your fetal position on a small stool of resigned subservience, begin to break all the other small, obscuring slats into puzzle pieces piling on the floor until you feel a fresh breeze and the smell of new cut grass cleanse the room, your prison for so long, of the stagnant, strangling stench of despair. Then turn to follow the light, and yes, there's a door you never saw, a way to regain your life, yourself, which opens freely to release you back into the world you thought had left you with no forwarding address. Lovers in a cafe. He is clearly pressing his request, perhaps for matrimony, forgiveness of some simple error or major faux pas, leaning out of his chair across the marble tabletop around teacups and deep saucers to take one smooth, shapely hand to hold fullest possible attention. He seems to be failing as she gives only one hand to his two while resting her chin on the other, setting her gaze not on his face, but somewhere else, some point between them, a spot halfway between his thigh and elbows, midway between his body and hers, but not clearly even in the same room. She has, it seems, already turned, begun to erase him from her life, creating a drawing away, distance, to isolate her from his coming pain when she coldly rejects his suit, angrily denies him forgiveness, changing the scene, retitling the painting, now ex-lovers in a cafe. Travel journal number 4. 1. The music in the car is soft, Bach, accompanied with the highway sounds, competing with them. Engine braking trucks, passing cars, tires on asphalt, concrete, cracks. In quick moments of almost silence, I can hear voices in the cello, the violin, conversing about matters more important than getting somewhere else. 2. I wake at 3:15, the motel room pale in the light from the parking lot. Someone is using a telegraph, perhaps next door or the floor below. The coming and going signals clear as they dance from a speaker and cross the air to settle in my ears. Then they cease, and I am reminded that I have tinnitus, random odd sounds, an oxymoron giving declining hearing. 3. Quick, lest you miss seeing them. There, beside the interstate, after the paintball park helicopter and before the rolling mountains, tucked at the edge of a Finger Lake, stand 3 small Ferris wheels, sized for a Kittyland or Munchkinland. Even a much younger previous me, fearful of nearing any drop, could have soared as safe as dreaming. But the trio won't offer that now. Their crumbling rust is covered in rust. These times, it's part of the bargain, part of the unspoken contract, the formal vows if they're said, but we don't often think of it. Even if we get to watch it, see it happen to parents or friends, people we've kept up with, or strangers barely even met as we pass in the supermarket. But it happens sooner or later, with no choice on our part which one of us is chosen, called, to become frail in body or in mind, and which will have to find the strength, muster resources we were never taught, and plumb the ultimate courage of care, of compassion for the other, even as we're frightened beyond words. We don't get out much in these times, at least not as a couple, but it's okay. Nostalgia is only dangerous if we let it, if we miss how green the grass was instead of rejoicing that it just was, fondling fond memories to smile. Sometimes, alone, the courage fails, but always together. Love's simple math of 1 + 1 = 1 restores it. Numbers are markers. What shall we count today? Almost 61 years behind us, you and your folks driving around looking at the new neighborhood. One house stood out and you said, "I'm marrying the boy who lives there." Also, almost that long ago, we shared a geography class. You saw my family's movies, the summer in Norway and Sweden. You knew more about me than I would about you for a while. Coming up on 58 years, we shared a second class. And you started showing up with a mutual friend at church youth group parties. Our first dates, first kisses, love yous, and we were comfortable together. And 55 years today, that rainy morning in Burbank, the promises we still keep, the things we continue to learn about each other, about ourselves. So how about this? I vote we count ourselves blessed. Midnight. The darkness is warm, even with windows thrown open. She sleeps on her own island of gentle peace, of memories, love that hovers in the air, breathing easy, conversing in a burble of tongues. She dreams. Something in the night wakens him, perhaps a passing car, a breeze changing tree songs, or her chuckle at what lies deep behind her eyes. He lies close behind her, no contact beyond a hand sleepy on her hip and the quickness of a kissed shoulder. She laughs more, dreams of dreaming an unexpected kiss, his lips. She sighs, settles deeper, and he follows her. 75 South. Rolling past your billboards for Jesus, babies, guns, and strippers, mingled with the ones that hate all the others who aren't you. Mixed messages, like your thoughts, your confusion when you cry out that you're superior to all while being oppressed by most. Much clearer is that flag, soaring high and oversized against the sky. A leftover tasted and regurgitated some 80 years ago for all the crows to scavenge in the middle of the highway. 80 years. And all the crows still answer when you say Jim. Sky sailing. After an undated illustration by Eliza Willer. Above the breaker clouds that ride above the rains that slide down roofs to join their kin on garden and street, the boat awaits, its solitary mooring line falling with the storm, and in a knot on the balcony rail. It waits for us, our call for slack silken sails to bow out kite-like, the call of birds who answered laughter that draws them over the stern to dance with trailing lines, dancing as we do beneath the stars that challenge us to sail among them, speak with them, learn from them, share easy peace and live like them in whatever time we're given. That we will do, I promise. I missed you, she says. The ship, his home and life since childhood, lies broken on the rocks as the sun finally rises below the storm's passing. He stands on the beach, waves closing on his feet with the predatory tide, watches as the ship shifts, slips further into the depths. And the waves rise, take the shape of a woman, arms wide in a naked embrace. I missed you, she says. Come to me, she says. The man stares, struck mute. Unanswered, she collapses, floods the beach, recedes. I have you, she whispers. You're safe now, she lies. The children danced in fairy tales, holding hands to form a single circle. They danced at Stonehenge, perhaps. We know they danced in the plague, sang around a frog in Stalingrad, on a hilltop overlooking Budapest. I remember dancing on the playground when holding hands with a girl was new, and later when it meant the world. That world has changed again, but not to fairy tales or first crushes. The merry songs have become fewer. Now the children hold hands, silent, crouched behind a circle of desks, waiting for the songs of guns to stop. And one last one. Memories kept. The first girl I kissed was the minister's daughter, right there in Sunday school. Or maybe she kissed me. It happened so quickly, though just once. We were 5 or 6, that long ago, but I remember her name. My first maybe sort of girlfriend crush kiss was a simple reward for walking someone home when she didn't feel well in school. I guess germs weren't a concern. The first time we were kissing, she said at one catching breath point that I kissed like an old vacuum cleaner. We were playing spin the bottle, her two girlfriends and I don't remember anybody else complaining. The first time you kissed me was an accident, meant to be a peck on the cheek, but I turned my head. All the other times were on purpose. The first time we kissed was our first real date. I said I loved you. You told me I didn't. We're still married, still in love. And hopefully, if fortune and luck, all the other small and large gods, are still on my side, the last time we kissed hasn't happened yet. Thank you all.